someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine, like, if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it, and it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more, and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Monday in the morning warm-up, complete reaction to the weekend, including Liberty blowing a 28-7 lead that ultimately will cost them a chance at making a bowl game. Plus, we talk about the James Franklin contract details now that they were revealed over the weekend, and we talk about the importance of Virginia defeating Virginia Tech this weekend. Tuesday, we'll talk Commanders. Lake Lewis joins us, Commanders NFL Insider, plus a little bit about UVA with Mike Barber. Join us on the morning warm-up, weekday morning, 7 to 8 a.m. on VTRN Sports. 93.3 FM, 1320 AM, and on the VTRN Sports app.
You're listening to WVGM AM and FM Lynchburg, now powered by ESPN Radio and streaming on the VTRN Sports app.
It's the final countdown to savings during the Red Tag year-end sales event at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile. Holiday savings have started, and this is your last chance to save. Shop local and save more with straightforward pricing, plus exceptional service and selection. Stop the search. Head to the Motor Mile for over 900 pre-owned vehicles to choose from and a huge selection of new car brands in Southwest Virginia. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Subaru, Kia, Chevrolet, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. 11 new car brands, 900 used vehicles, all in one location. The Sheeler Motor Mile gives you choices more than any other dealer in the area. Sheeler owns the finance company. We make it easy to buy with in-house financing. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got the volume. 11 new car brands, over 900 used vehicles, all in one location. Our biggest sale of the year is here. The Red Tag year-end sales event at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile. I-81 exit 118C in Christiansburg. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com. But hurry, this sale ends when the new year begins.
I'm Shanola Hampton. Every day, millions of people face hunger. Today, I will share with you some of their experiences. I'm stuck between paying for medications or paying for food. John from Maine. After paying my bills, I can buy groceries. It's sad to say, food comes last. Alice from Oregon. I thought pantries were for less fortunate people. But anybody could be less fortunate in a day or even a second. Claire from Virginia. The Feeding America network of food banks helps provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. No one should have to worry where their next meal will come from. Together, we can end hunger. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Looking for everything happening in and around Central Virginia that used to be in the morning paper? Start your day at the lynchburgportal.com. Get the latest news updates from Bill Trevero, plus up-to-date weather from VTRN's own in-house meteorologist, Matt Ferguson. So you're always in the know before you head out the door. Want to listen on the go? Stream classic hits on Rewind 103.9. Get breaking local news on WIQO, or catch the best sports talk and play-by-play on VTRN Sports, powered by ESPN Radio, all right from the portal. Looking to save? Check out insane radio deals for great local discounts, or explore local podcasts featuring the voices and stories that make our community special. Plus, connect with local businesses through the Lynchburg Business Alliance Directory and stay in the loop on the latest events from Lynchburg Tourism. It's all right here. Local news, weather, sports, deals, and more at the lynchburgportal.com, your gateway to everything Lynchburg.
You're stepping into the fast lane on the VTRN Sports app, 93.3 FM and 1320 AM Lynchburg, or by asking Alexa or Google Home, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane.
I'm giving TJ just worries as I cough split seconds before he turns on the mic and welcomes us into the fast lane with my pained but still somehow speaking vocal cords. With TJ, I'm Ed Lane. Thank you for joining us. Liberty men's basketball, they fall to Towson today. They led for a good chunk of that game, but they fell down the stretch. And really, what was a back and forth contest down in Kissimmee, Florida? I think I'm pronouncing it right. I've heard it like 6,000 times, and it still hasn't registered. Please forgive me. I'm home with the kids. They're off of school this week. So not only was my trostlaw.com fast take from the house, but also I am partially listening, partially watching, and trying to absorb as much info. More on that Fast 5 at 5-ish in a moment. Because I don't think there's really a whole lot to say. They lost, but I'm not freaking out about it. You're going to be in a lot of close games. You're playing a challenging schedule. If it wasn't today, it was going to be a week or so from now, 2 weeks from now, when they head down to see my guy, Will Wade, in NC State, who looked absolutely abysmal last night in Maui against Seton Hall. They look like they have been enjoying the beaches of Maui, not Maui itself. So there's our quick diatribe on Liberty Flames basketball. Meanwhile, Liberty football. So Jamie Chadwell met with the media today. I am more convinced that this is not a let's just run it back scenario for the Flames. But I understand how fans would have thought that, including when I did the said trostlaw.com fast take from my house and posted it to Fast Lane, Ed Lane, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm trying not to be impolite and burping. I was really suppressing that if you're wondering why my voice cracked. So I'm sitting there and did the trostlaw.com fast take. And we pretty quickly have had feedback from people, including, the idea of, it's about the players, not the coaches. Not so fast. If you haven't seen the press conference, though, first of all, there's generally a delay in getting it posted, including if it's from John Manson, a CFRed.com founder, who will join us around 5:45 today, or Bryson Gordon of newsadvance.com, who will join Trey Lyle at some point tomorrow in the morning warm-up from 7 to 8 a.m. Just listen to the whole thing, and that way you won't miss it. Or if I'm out there at the Liberty Indoor Complex and post it as well. So if you miss that, I understand why you'd be skeptical about Jamie Chadwell's full vision for changing players, because there are a lot of things that he said, but the most noteworthy one goes back to the question that BG, Bryson Gordon, newsadvance.com, asked out of him after the loss to Missouri State, which really signaled that the 3-game winning streak that brought the Flames to 4-4 may not be sustainable.
I wouldn't classify it as right track. I would say I'm disappointed in our record. 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think you talk about third year. Yeah, we'd love to be better, but also it's almost like you start over every year with the way the portal is, right? And so that's why I look at it. We there's a lot of different challenges, but yeah, I'm disappointed. I don't think we're off the track as far as our culture and our program and what we're doing there. But we got to be better. So we got to be better. It's disappointing because I do think we're better, and that's me. I'm responsible for that. We got to find a way to be better in all areas. And so I wouldn't classify it completely there, but there's obviously some improvement we better make. And that's something that we talk about constantly.
That was Jamie Chadwell after the loss to Missouri State that really sent the Flames down what is now their 3-game losing streak and has vaulted them right out of bowl eligibility. Not that it was something that Flames fans were exactly excited, because the beginning of the year left a lot of concerns. But the comments itself, I'm not on the right track. It was very wishy-washy to a lot of Flames fans, and I can see how they would understand that. I will agree with Jamie Chadwell that if the culture were rotten at Liberty, they would have mailed in the entire season. They have not. They have at least fought and been in each of these losses. Now, moral victories are not something when you're getting paid $4 million a year in base salary like Jamie Chadwell is, and you have a pretty well compensated staff and a roster that fans should expect and do expect. They don't accept that, and nor should they. I have no issue with that. So before we share what Jamie Chadwell said today, TJ, I get where fans were upset, because up until today, there was a lot of, I don't think we're, totally off track, but I'm not pleased with where we are. And fans, understandably, probably want more changes when you see what's happened. And then when they hear that, it's, well, if the coach says that, maybe he needs to go. Now, there are other factors that can go in. We'll get to that in a moment. But I understand, I don't always agree, but I understand where Liberty fans were coming from after that comment and what was said since then.
No, I think a lot of people feel like if we're not this, they feel like Jamie Chadwell just repeats himself on what the issues are and feels like the issues weren't being solved. And now they're bowl ineligible for the first time since being D1.
Yeah, they are. And because of that, that's the case. Now, I think Ty's brought this up yesterday in the Fast Lane.
And guess what? We keep receipts.
Fast Lane, Ed Lane, wherever you listen to podcasts, if you want to go back and check it out. We brought it up as well. I think there were structural flaws on this team. Defensively, again, as bad as the defensive line has performed, they lost their two of their top defensive linemen. TJ Bush, I think, was the top. You could debate where Jay Hardy was. But they lost them both after the spring window. I don't fault them going and getting money. Callan, Auburn, Bush, and Hardy, respectively. Even if Hardy's just a backup rotational player, what he could have made at Auburn this year is more than Liberty was going to offer him. I know it's weird to say, but it's true. If you're from the background that a lot of these players are, I can't speak to Hardy specifically, you take that. But it put Liberty in a compromised spot, and their defensive line and defensive front just has not had the impact, size, skill, depth that you would want to see out of a defensive front. It put them in a compromised spot. One transfer portal window, Liberty will get poached. That's going to happen. Brace yourself for it. I would be shocked if Evan Dickens is back, Dante Lee is back, maybe others. But you can also backfill and understand that. And the part where I get more concerned for Liberty was the offensive side of the ball. Whether it's the shoulder injury, whether it's the decision-making, whether it's just not naturally being gifted as an accurate passer, I think all of those are legitimate gripes with Ethan Vasco at quarterback. And maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. Michael Merdinger reportedly was getting a lot of the looks today in practice for Liberty. Again, maybe injury related because of Ethan Vasco previously. Maybe it's see what we've got with him in a game. But I think we're at the point now where whether Vasco comes back or not, this quarterback room is going to look drastically different from what the Flames fans had in mind at the beginning of the year and what the Flames brought at the beginning of this year. And it should. But the idea that Jamie Chadwell is not going to embrace change, this is where I will say, I beg to differ. Or as, we might sit there and go from our friends for Just for Men.
Rejected.
I would reject that notion. Because here's the thing. Jamie Chadwell spoke to the media today and was asked, maybe by somebody here in this room, on this show, if there will be changes coming to the Liberty Flames, and do you view this as an opportunity to make changes? Not that you're trying to push everyone out the door, but Jamie Chadwell was pretty emphatic in his long, and we'll break it down, answer.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's going to be change. I think anytime you go through, what we're going through, there's going to be change. And that could be coaching staff change because some guys might be like, hey, I need to go look somewhere else. Obviously, player wise, this is we're in a position in college football today where with the money and all the different things that, hey, you got to produce. And you got to produce at the end of the day. And if you're making some money and you're not producing, then there's going to be, hey, we got to find some people that can produce at a better level.
So two things off of what Jamie Chadwell first mentioned. I get the majority of that was players being discussed. But he started off with coaching staff changes. Like, I'm not saying that you're going to fire everybody on the staff and you need to just totally gut this thing. As our friend Amy Trask likes to remind us, former Raiders CEO and CBS Sports NFL analyst, and do what? But you can't run it back with Liberty. Players, coaches, everything. When you're 4-8 or 5-7 or however they finish, that's just not an acceptable option. Jamie Chadwell seems to know that. Whether he's met with Ian McCall and has been told that, whether it's just obvious from looking at it, you can have your own opinions. We'll get to that in just a moment. But while a lot of it is players, and Jamie Chadwell mentioned that, ultimately this is the reality of where you're going. And there will be roster changes that pop up, both from the good side and the bad side.
So I think there'll obviously be change in the transfer portal. There's going to be guys here that are really good players. They're going to try to go get paid a lot of money. We obviously got to go out and bring in people to fit the areas where we know we need to improve. And so there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot. When he brought that up, TJ, you can debate me on this if you want. The first part is we know we're going to lose players. It's not that Liberty is sitting there going, oh my God, we don't want to retain them. But let's keep it real here. If Auburn can outbid Liberty for Jay Hardy to be a backup defensive tackle, like there are players that are just good enough that they're going to get commanded elsewhere. And there's some that come to, I don't have any inside info, but Christian Bodner, the defensive back,
Yeah.
Brylan Green is a senior, so he's not in this. That's why we didn't bring him up. But Christian Bonner, the defensive back, Evan Dickens at running back, and Dante Lee at wide receiver are the three that immediately come to mind. But the coaching staff on the back half of we need to go out and bring players in, it's admitting that they're thinking about this differently. You may not like it, but you either have to adapt or not. And the fact that they admitted of we're going to lose guys, but we're also going to have to find ways to bring guys in. And the other soundbite of when you're paying players, there's expectations. That's the reality for where Liberty is. And that's where I think changes are going to happen.
And I think it needs to start with the offense. And I hate to say it, but Willie Corn's job has got to be come into question because the last 2 years, I feel like that offense has been abysmal. You had Caden Salter last year, who had one of the greatest seasons a Liberty quarterback has had since Malik Willis left. And you're telling me that next year that Caden, so I get there was discipline issues, but you could do nothing with Caden and most of the guys that you were able to retain. And then this year, offense was almost laughable. So I think it starts with, I don't think you're going to retain a lot of the quarterbacks. I see Bradford leaving. Vasco, I don't know where his position will be, but if he feels like the fan base doesn't want him, he may leave. Michael Merdinger maybe stays. Hawk, I don't think is going to stay. But you got to call Willie Corn's job into question. Hey, are we going to have a better offense this year? How are we going to run it? Is it going to be abysmal this year? Are we going to actually be seen offensively more so than defensively?
Well, and you mentioned Willie Corn, and maybe it's not even that. You have an offensive-minded head coach in Jamie Chadwell plus the offensive staff. Maybe you rethink your responsibilities. Maybe you take more of a holistic look as a head coach, and you can put more on Willie Corn's plate and saying, hey, this is now your ride or die year. Sink or swim, figure this out. Maybe you shift it around. Maybe you bring him more responsibilities as coordinator and bring in a quarterback's coach. Maybe you shift him to a quarterback's coach and you get someone that's more of a veteran offensive mind in there. There are a lot of ways that this thing could go. But calling the job into question doesn't mean you have to fire him. It can mean a reassessment of the job and of everybody's roles because something has to change. And I think we'll get some on the defensive side of the ball as well. Look, Skylar McGee, and again, I'm not trying to push him out the door, but there were reports out there he was set to go to Wake Forest a year or so ago. And eventually he ended up sticking around at Liberty. So when I put that out there, my next thought is, look, it's not bad to have a little bit of change. You don't need it all the time, but player and coaching staff change is necessary because sometimes you do get some fresh ideas that pop up. And Jamie Chadwell, the first bit we played, is admitting that. And again, you're going to lose some of the best players. That part is the most obvious.
There's been a lot, every year with us. If you, from a standpoint of player wise, we've lost a lot of good players over the last 2 or 3 years. And so we're not expecting anything to change this year.
Then a lot of fans hear that in a vacuum and get frustrated because Jamie Chadwell has often pointed out about losing players for Liberty. And that in and of itself is a reasonable comparison. We've heard that a lot. We've lost players. We've lost players. We've lost players. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That's the very logical question. Well, I would at least say this much. It seems, again, appearance-wise, like there's a better plan in place.
I do think we have a better plan of going after and targeting it's not just something we've looked at. We've known throughout the season where we're deficient in the areas that we got to improve. And so it's something that we've been focused on for a while now to improve. And then once people go in the portal, then we have a good understanding at least of the areas that we want to attack and then going together and putting the right packages together, hopefully to get the right players in here to help us get back to winning the conference.
We've known the areas where we're deficient. Again, I'm kind of paraphrasing. If I'm missing a word up, that's why I'm saying that. We've known the areas we're deficient, having a plan in place if they go in the portal. That's that whole gray area. It's kind of like tampering in the NFL before free agency begins, where every agent is talking to every front office person. And so it's like how the deal gets done at 12:02 p.m. when free agency just begins. You're like, amazing how they just came together on this life-altering contract in 2 minutes. TJ, I wish our life-altering contracts could come to us in a 2-minute span. Of course, if they were that way, it wouldn't take much. We would just sign up and probably go wherever, take the guaranteed money, and voila, we deal with the consequences later. Brenda, me, you ready to fly? We're going. But no, the jokes about that aside, to me, it's Jamie Chadwell. Again, you may not like it, but you're diving in to that game. And I can say this much having spoken to some different people as well. They've been looking at ways of rethinking how they assess their recruitment at the high school level, but also player retention.
Yeah.
Now, getting the right people on the same page, weeding out people who may be sitting there more fearful that their job is on the line or not, having some level of structure and alignment. I think that's the part that I'm most interested in seeing early, because players will start to come in when that transfer portal window opens up January 2nd through the 16th. I think it is. Maybe it's the 15th, whatever, mid-January.
Yeah.
When that window opens up. But you're going to see a lot more for Liberty, and that is where you are. But I think I got more clarity from hearing Jamie Chadwell today that this is not a bury your head in the sand, let's just run it back operation that is coming out of Liberty. There's disappointment. Things have had to change. And if Chadwell wasn't going to do it, I am willing to say Ian McCall would have forced that particular change on him, because you have to be able to read the room that fans are not going to buy into the idea of just let's run it back another year after a disappointing season and it continuing the downward trend.
No, for sure. And fans have been very vocal about Chadwell and his job. It's everywhere.
It is. It most definitely is. Speaking of people and their jobs, that is where we begin the Fast Five at 5-ish in just a moment. But if you want to have more money from your job, the easiest way to do it is InsaneRadioDeals.com. When you shop at InsaneRadioDeals.com, it's the most simple thing you can potentially do. You just go there, you see what the regular price of an item is, and then what we charge at InsaneRadioDeals.com and what you pay. It's always a special at InsaneRadioDeals.com. It includes the Yard on 5th Street, one of TJ's favorite places to dine, the Caribbean Jerk Pot, 801 Raw Bar, Oliver's on Rivermont, and so much more. Plus, still tickets, some remain, for the Liberty Flames game against Kennesaw State. And if you're thinking, why would I go to that game? Allow me to present the scenario. If you're looking for something to do this coming Saturday afternoon, and you have family in town, and you need to find a way to get them out of the house, the easy answer is InsaneRadioDeals.com. Now, other topics in the Fast Five at 5-ish.
It's time for Fast Five at 5-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m.-ish. Ish, because our counting skills are kinda ish. Let's start with number 5.
Ricky Ronnie of Old Dominion saying he has every intention of being the head coach at Old Dominion as long as the administration will have him, and said that the rumors that he and James Franklin have discussed the Virginia offensive coordinator job are false. Now, here's where I will say, as long as the administration will have him, could that mean as long as they give me what I want? And then if they don't, I would say, as Ricky Ronnie, they don't want me around anymore because they're not giving me what I want. Like, there is a little bit of a gray area in there. It's not an emphatic, I am not going to Virginia Tech this offseason. But I would say it's doubtful that he's going there this offseason, and either that or he's positioning himself to not be the vilified person from the ODU fan base if he believes they cannot provide what he wants.
No, for sure. And he made it clear today because they asked if he was going to go be an offensive coordinator under James Franklin. And he said, no, I think I'm happy here now.
Yes, he definitely is. He has indicated that he's very pleased with his situation. Meanwhile, I don't know if we'll ever be pleased with the situation in
number 4,
the college football playoff. Yahoo Sports has cited sources saying that ESPN and the college football playoff are finalizing another extension of the December 1st format deadline, which will give commissioners more time, at least through January, to agree to what the format will be for 2026. I honestly, at this point, just believe it's not going to change because this thing keeps being tabled and tabled and tabled. And it's not going to change until we get further and further in the process, and therefore we get further along the tracks and get to that particular point of where we're going with the college football playoff. And ultimately, it's because the Big Ten and the SEC are fine having different agendas because at some point they will get to the point where they have more
dollar bills, y'all.
And they have
lots of power
relative to everybody else. And as long as they're at that point, they are fine waiting. It's waiting for everyone else. And let's be honest, the status quo right now kind of favors them because it looks like the ACC is going to get one school, maybe two if they're lucky. It looks like the ACC is never going to stiff arm Notre Dame into not agreeing to a schedule. More on that in a moment. And it looks like the Big 12 may only get one in the group of five. So the SEC and Big 10 may be the loaded conferences. Well, you don't even have to do anything else if you're those conferences. You can just stick to the status quo as it is. Meanwhile, speaking of the ACC,
number 3,
Florida State 2023, late to the party. 2025 Miami, we've hardly seen it. Jim Phillips for the ACC. My question is, what's more likely? A college football playoff super league or the ACC encounters an era where the haves decide to split from the have-nots? Because we've seen this with the ACC now. And I'm under the impression now that one of those two is going to happen. Either there's going to be a super league that comes up in the near future, or the haves of the ACC are going to say, we're done with this conference where Pitt openly says we don't value playing Notre Dame and getting a quality win, which looks bad on the conference. Or where Duke, which has lost to Tulane, UConn, and Illinois in non-conference play, could still make the ACC title game because of our procedures in the ACC tiebreaker scenario. We have this in the ACC, or SMU can get in, despite the fact that in non-conference play, they've struggled with Big 12 teams, most notably Baylor. This is the reality of the ACC, and I think actually SMU might want to join in on the new conference. But I think we're at a point where the haves, like Miami, Clemson, Florida State, Carolina and NC State, Tech and UVA, I'll put Louisville and SMU in this camp. Maybe Georgia Tech will split off from the have-nots like the Dukes, the Wake Forest, Syracuse's, the Boston College, and the Pitt Panthers, who are just clearly in the why does anybody pay attention to what they have to say portion of the ACC. Meanwhile, another one in
number 2,
Florida State 2023, Miami 2025. We reference it once again. That's different from Ole Miss, who was once 11-1 to miss the college football playoff. They are now 5-1. Look, even if Lane Kiffin leaves and they lose to Mississippi State on Friday and Lane Kiffin announces on Saturday that he's leaving from Ole Miss, which I'm not so certain is going to happen. I think this guy's just an attentionaholic and has to find a way to keep himself in the spotlight. But even if it happens, I think Ole Miss makes the college football playoff even without a coach. I think North Texas, even though they are now going to lose their coach to Oklahoma State, but they are going to likely be in the American Conference Championship game next weekend, which you can hear Friday night, VTR and Sports app, by the way. I think those conferences are in a different spot than the ACC. The American may be different, but Ole Miss is in the SEC. They have a commissioner that's outspoken, that's putting himself out there, always advocating for the SEC brand. And they've done a great job of using the ESPN ABC tentpole and allowing that to be fed right back in to the perception of the ACC. If ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips realizes that's not going to happen, and if the conference representatives in the ACC realize this, if I'm the ACC conference representatives, even if it's Virginia or SMU, certainly Miami, I want Jim Phillips to be on every single media outlet that's possible. I want him on your national college football podcast. I want him on your national college football shows. I'm trying to pimp this guy to everybody that wants to hear what Jim Phillips has to say, including the Virginia Talk Radio Network, as we would welcome him here in the Fast Lane. But this guy should be out everywhere pimping the ACC's brand and saying, we need to be in, advocating for the conference. This diplomacy of everybody playing nice in the sandbox is leaving the ACC in a precarious position where they are not being properly respected. And it's not the only reason. Play on the field, the way their conference schools perform, especially the biggest brands, all play into this. But if I'm an ACC school, Miami in this case, Florida State in prior cases, I want my commissioner pimping the brand every single opportunity that he gets. Speaking of an ACC school that, well, their brand is out there, but it may be a challenge, is
number 1.
Cam Robinson out for the year with a torn ACL against Duke. It kind of slipped through the cracks, but the news was confirmed today. Is this the last time we ever see him in a Virginia Cavalier uniform? And I'm not saying is this ever the last time we see him in a uniform because of the transfer portal. With Virginia getting more money that continues to be pumped in to that particular program, I don't dispute that that's going to happen. I view this as is he going to go to the NFL? Because he's been an above-average stack linebacker. It's been a great year at Virginia. Now, the ACL injury probably changes everything from prep to the combine, so maybe it's different, but it's clearly a blow to Virginia, especially in their efforts to get over the hump with Virginia Tech this weekend and in all likelihood SMU next weekend in the ACC championship game, which, by the way, you'll also be able to hear right here on the VTRN Sports app. Meanwhile, when we return here in the Fast Lane, Bob Alvis of the Sports Buffet podcast, little high school football talk. He survived a trip to Winchester. 3 hours up, 3 hours there, 3 hours back. Actually, it's a little bit more. All of that when we return, plus John Manson from ACRed.com here in the Fast Lane.
This holiday season, take a step back in time to the heart of the 1940s. Join us at Cedar Oaks Farm in Bedford, Virginia for The Christmas List, a World War II era radio play recorded live to benefit the National Center for Healthy Veterans. Experience the story of the Bedford boys and their last Christmas before shipping out to serve their country. A moving night of laughter, love, and the true spirit of Christmas, featuring live music, classic sound effects, and a full cast performing just like the golden days of radio.
Jing-a-ling, 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 the night is made for sweet romancing. Ha! Ho! Through the snow we go.
Performances are December 12th and 13th at 7 p.m. and December 14th at 2 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at cedaroaksfarm.com, with proceeds benefiting the National Center for Healthy Veterans. Come share a nostalgic Christmas at Cedar Oaks Farm, where memories, music, and history come alive.
As the decorations go up and the lights twinkle brightly, we at Brownstone Properties hope this special time is filled with the warmth of family, cherished moments, and heartfelt connections. From our family to yours, may your home be a haven of joy, laughter, and lifelong memories. And let us not forget those who may be in need with our generosity and compassion this holiday season. Happy holidays from all of us at Brownstone Properties, where home is at the heart of everything we do.
One of the many things I'm thankful for this year is InsaneRadioDeals.com, because the best deals are all there for you. Liberty Flames football tickets, InsaneRadioDeals.com. Gift cards to Oliver's on Rivermont, Caribbean Jerk Pod, JD's Cafe, downtown Cairo, InsaneRadioDeals.com. Great deals just in time for the holiday season at InsaneRadioDeals.com. Head to the site right now before they run out.
Hey, this is Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback, and you're listening to VTRN Sports 93.3 FM and the VTRN Sports app, the home of the NFL all season long.
Hey, this is Virginia Tech analyst and former Hokies tight end Mike Burnham. You're listening to The Fast Lane with Ed Lane and Trey Lyle. Join the chat at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
He survived. Now, would he do it again? That's the next question from Bob Alvis, or to Bob Alvis, from the Sports Buffet podcast, who joins us now in the Fast Lane. Bob, great to be speaking with you. You survived Jefferson Forest Cavaliers football presented by TroSlaw.com, our 3-hour trip to and from Winchester, as well as however long we were up there, 4.5, 5 hours, whatever added up to a 12-hour day. Would you do it again, or have you been permanently scarred for life?
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, would I do it again? So, yeah, why not?
Well, the matchup itself lived up to the billing. 3-2. JF gets the victory. It was not without a cost, the injury to Thax Rowland. First of all, how impressed were you with Jefferson Forest, despite that injury on their opening drive of the game for Jefferson Forest? Their second offensive play, he goes for a big run, over a 55-yard run, but comes up limping, suffers an ankle injury. He'll be out for the remainder of the season. How big is that for you, for Jefferson Forest, to have still shown the resiliency and the fighting spirit of one of their big leaders, Thax Rowland?
Very impressed by JF. I think they have a shot this week at GW. I mean, they're going to have to play well, no doubt about it. But up front, you know, that was going to be the question this year. And up front, the guys that have come in and replaced. And I'm going to put Spencer Sloan in there too. The tight end doesn't get enough credit for what he does up front. And I'm going to put all those guys up front. They call themselves, I believe, Trench Mafia. I'm going to give them 100% credit for what they did, because they kept Payton upright. Payton was a star in the second half running the football, in my opinion, no doubt. But I'm going to give JF's offensive line a lot of credit, and, give their defense a lot of credit too. The defensive backs played really well, and the receivers. And, if the quarterback didn't look good for Handley, I think there was probably a reason.
Yeah, I mean, Jefferson Forest found a way in spite of the loss of Thax Rowland. They found a fight. Were we overselling it on our broadcast of Jefferson Forest Cavaliers football presented by TroSlaw.com? That this was the momentum in the monkey game for JF. They had really struggled to get past the second round. EC Glass a couple of years ago after beating them in the regular season. The trip to Sherando last year. Now it's kind of deja vu all over again, but this time they found a way to win. Was it as big of a deal getting that monkey off their back?
In my opinion, I think JF if they do the ball control thing, I think they've got a shot against anybody. When they got beat by EC Glass 2 years ago, EC Glass did that to them. If JF keeps the ball away, which I think they did for the most part against John Hanley on Saturday, I think the Cavaliers have a good shot. The trip to Danville is not like a trip to Winchester. I'm not overplaying and saying it's not a trip, but it's not like you're going all the way down to Winchester. So I give the Cavaliers credit, but they're going to have to withstand some big plays, because if GW makes a big play, you've just got to kind of shake it off and move on. It's a 48-minute game.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reality of this type of contest and the way things have gone so far this year. We'll have coverage 6:30 Central VA Flooring Kickoff Show, 7 o'clock kick, Jefferson Forest at GW Danville on our sister station, 100.9 Lynchburg, 95.5 Bedford. And if you've got the VTR and Sports app, just go to the top left corner, click other stations, and it'll be on either of our talk stations to listen that way. As Bob Alvis of the Sports Buffet podcast is with us here in the Fast Lane. Bob, you've been effusive that you believe Jefferson Forest, they've got a chance against GW Danville this coming Friday. Meanwhile, LCA against Heritage. We had some joking about this, that it's hard to beat a team twice. This is not really a road trip for LCA, who survived their 2 road trips in the first and second round. This is a much different deal, as they are going just across town to Heritage. Because of the revenge factor for LCA, having been there before, Lane's Lines has them installed as a 1.5 point favorite, but really this is a coin flip. Is it anybody's game?
Yeah, it is. It is truly a coin flip. I mean, LCA is going to remember what was done to them. Hopefully, I'm going to get up with Frank Rocco tomorrow or Thursday and ask what needs to be different in this game. Because if you say, well, everything's got to be the same except the score, sure, you're right a little bit. But what does LCA have to change? What do they have to do to get Heritage out of their flow? And for Heritage, what needs to be different? Because Heritage feels like they left some points on the table and could have been better on that Friday night as well. This one should be a fun game.
It should. Do you expect it to be offensively oriented like the first matchup was? Do you see the defenses buckling down a little bit more in what's going to probably be a very cold city stadium? How do you envision game flow between LCA and Heritage this coming Friday night?
My gut tells me it's within probably the 20s, 30s. I don't think it's going to get to Drew Bledsoe, Dan Marino shootout like a long time ago, but I think it's probably about where it was, if not a little bit lower.
Bob, you mentioned that contest. Do you have a prediction as far as how this goes, or is this truly the coin flip game where, I know this is cliche, but whoever forces mistakes and opportunities or just commits them is probably going to be the determining factor?
Who wins the battle up front, I think, is the determining factor. Like you said, yeah, I mean, if you looked at it on Saturday, special teams was a big deal in JF and Hanley. And, JF special teams were not overly special at certain points. In a Heritage LCA matchup, you've got to be, as close to 100% as you can be. You can't shoot yourself in the foot. So I would say it's not about did you force a miscue, but did you make an unforced miscue?
Yeah, I mean, if you can avoid those as much as anything, it matters a ton. How intrigued are you as well? I mean, these have not only been the top 2 teams in the Seminole District all season long. They both beat Jefferson Forest, so we're comfortable giving the distinction of the top 2 Seminole District teams to LCA and Heritage, who square off Friday night at City Stadium. But the fact that this is a pretty fun chess match as well. 2 totally different styles between Rocco at LCA and Bradley at Heritage.
Rocco and Bradley are 2 of the better coaches around in any classification. Obviously, we know one team is going to be in the state semifinals next Saturday. Gosh, it is so hard to pick, and it should be a fun game. I mean, I don't see it being just a flat-out, blowout where people are leaving at the end of the third quarter, midway through the fourth. Now, that last drive, will it come down to that? I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be one of these games to where people are saying, why did I come out? Why did I get cold? And all this stuff.
No, I think you're in a spot where you're at least going to get your money's worth in this contest. Meanwhile, we've talked 4A, Jefferson Forest at GW Danville. 3A, LCA at Heritage. 2A, Gretna is at Glenver, who is back healthy, including at the quarterback position. How much is Gretna going to need to ride Rayshon Logan, who led the All-Dogwood District team predictably and has been the go-to force for Gretna so far this year?
A lot. They have got to really hope that Glenver does make a mistake. Getting their quarterback back for the Highlanders is huge. I think Brody is going to throw the football around and probably show, hey, I should be back at this point too. And keep in mind, everything is big on Friday night because a lot of things are, it's almost like a state quarterfinal game, if you will, because you've only got 3 games left. And, Friday, if you lose at this point, goodbye, you're home.
Yeah, it's that suddenness to this matter. Gretna, they were in a shootout last week. Do you anticipate that they would want to get in a shootout at Glenver this coming Friday night over in Salem?
I don't want to get in a shootout with them at all, to be honest with you. I mean, I get that a shootout probably gives them the best chance to win. I think maybe that they are going to have to figure out how to keep the ball out of Glenver's hands. And if you're going to play the game of, I'm going to keep the ball out of one team's hands, how do you have a shootout? I don't know. Does Gretna need to know that? Maybe so, but I don't think it needs to be like a old school, 120, 119. Not that we see that in football, but I don't think you need that type of game either.
But I get where you're going. 56-55, the way Gretna won last week against Floyd County is not the way that you want to see them win if you're a Gretna Hawks fan this week. Meanwhile, Alta Vista was right there on all Dogwood District team. They fell to Buffalo Gap. How surprised were you at the way Alta Vista not only fell, but the Buffalo Gap really seemed to come in to be as physical as they wanted to against an Alta Vista team that, in hindsight, may have overachieved given just how much they lost off of last year's team?
Well, Alta Vista's got a shot. Alta Vista beat Riverheads earlier in the year, and Riverheads is playing Buffalo Gap on Friday for the 1B regional championship. Gap ran a lot of single wing from what I hear, and if you're not used to the single wing and misdirection, it can play with you. I don't know how much Alta Vista got affected by that, but I was told Buffalo Gap finished their regular season 4-6, and I was told Buffalo Gap was one of the best 4-6 teams that people had seen.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds weird to say, but they're backing it up with the way that they've been playing so far. Bob Alvis, the Sports Buffet podcast. He's at the Sports Buffet on Twitter to keep up with his great work. Bob, last one for you. This thing has just gotten crazy with the Union High School football coach, Travis Turner, who's now been on administrative leave. We were talking about it on the ride up. Union found a way to win their second-round playoff football game that Saturday in spite of this going on. Just a blank canvas for how to discuss this situation as much as you care to.
Every day it gets weirder because you see releases from, this is not just turned into local media now. This is turning into national media. And, with everything that's being reported when a guy's on a hunt and, there charges against the guy, the wife is saying that's not true. He's a great father and everything like that. I don't know what's going to happen at this point, but, it's got to be a distraction for those kids. And I feel sorry for those kids. I feel sorry for the alleged people that, had the misfortunes happen to them, if that's the case. But this is just a mess all the way around. And to be honest with you, if these allegations are untrue, I feel terrible for Travis Turner as well. Travis Turner, from what I've been told, is a relative of Appalachia's Tom Turner, who got beat by William Campbell when Brad Bradley won his first state title back in like 01-02. So this is really coming full circle. But I don't know how this can get any less weird because each day it's like it gets weirder and weirder.
No doubt about it, Bob. It's sad on so many levels. It'll be more sad regardless of how this thing transpires. We'll have more time, as obviously time will ultimately tell, but there's a lot of crazy information. We'll get the updates in a moment. Bob, thank you for your time in the Fast Lane. We greatly appreciate it. Good luck with your obligations over at Randolph tonight, and we're always glad to catch up with you. Enjoy the high school football action. But before then, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Always love it, and I'm ready for their next 3.5-hour trip.
Yes, Bob Alvis, be careful what you wish for. I hope we have many trips with Bob in the future, just not 3.5 hours, because those are really, really long days. By the way, in case you're wondering what we're discussing, by the way, when it comes to this, the story about the Union coach, to fill you in, a massive search has been underway the last couple of days involving multiple state agencies after Travis Turner, who's the head football coach at Union High School, has gone missing. He was placed on paid administrative leave, and now it is considered, as of today, a manhunt, as authorities have announced. Doesn't mean there's guilty or anything there, but they've announced they've obtained 10 warrants, 5 for child pornography, 5 counts of using a computer to solicit a minor. Now, what all this means, I don't pretend to know or have any legal expertise. It is weird, and just from a high school football sense, for the players on the team who did not ask to be dragged into this scenario and situation, you have to feel for them. Certainly, if these are in fact victims that are out there, you absolutely feel for them. And as Bob noted, if not, then you feel for Travis Turner that this is where it's come to. But this is just, it's weird. It's crazy. I don't pretend to have guilt or innocence placed one way or the other, but it is what it is. It is a distraction. It's got to be really hard to win football games under that scenario. Meanwhile, when we return here in the Fast Lane, there is no easy transition to make, but we will talk college football, particularly the Liberty Flames. In college basketball, was the loss today to Towson a blessing in disguise for the Flames, or at least a good thing? John Manson from AseaRed.com will answer that, plus Liberty football talk as well, when we return here in the Fast Lane on the VTRN Sports app and ask that smart speaker, open VTRN Sports.
It's the final countdown to savings during the Red Tag year-end sales event at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile. Holiday savings have started, and this is your last chance to save. Shop local and save more with straightforward pricing, plus exceptional service and selection. Stop the search. Head to the Motor Mile for over 900 pre-owned vehicles to choose from, and a huge selection of new car brands in Southwest Virginia. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Subaru, Kia, Chevrolet, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. 11 new car brands, 900 used vehicles, all in one location. The Sheeler Motor Mile gives you choices more than any other dealer in the area. Sheeler owns the finance company. We make it easy to buy with in-house financing. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got the volume. 11 new car brands, over 900 used vehicles, all in one location. Our biggest sale of the year is here. The Red Tag year-end sales event at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile. I-81 exit 118C in Christiansburg. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com. But hurry, this sale ends when the new year begins.
Want an outdoor oasis? The Concrete Wizard can restore and revitalize your pool deck or patio. After the Concrete Wizard works the magic, your old, tired concrete will look new again. For pool decks, the Concrete Wizard can install a safe, innovative rubber surfacing option that's slip-resistant, soft, and easy on the feet. A great choice for families and anyone concerned about safety. Visit theconcretewizard.com for some ideas, then contact them today for a free consultation to create your perfect outdoor oasis.
Hi, I'm Randy Trost with Trost Law. We've seen a lot since 1982. One new issue is an increasing number of uninsured drivers. Unfortunately, when these drivers are at fault for an accident, there's a higher likelihood that they'll flee from the scene, leaving you with a potential mess. So in shopping for your auto insurance policy, please keep in mind that strong, uninsured motorist coverage can protect you from this headache. And if you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, call us at 777-HURT and visit trostlaw.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck from Aquatrack Adventures in Salem. The Virginia Talk Radio Network and InsaneRadioDeals.com have helped our company grow by sharing our company's message throughout Central and Southside Virginia. The gift cards and experiences sold on InsaneRadioDeals.com have brought us many new customers. If you're a business that wants to grow with a message that resonates and gets results, I highly recommend InsaneRadioDeals.com and the Virginia Talk Radio Network. Simply put, it works.
VTRN Sports, powered by ESPN Radio. The games play here. College football action this Saturday. Starting with the game. 11:30 a.m. is your coverage for Ohio State taking on Michigan. Then it's Oregon taking on Washington. Then at 5 p.m., it's the Commonwealth Clash as the Hokies head to Charlottesville to take on the Cavaliers. Then after Virginia Tech, Virginia, it will be Notre Dame heading out to take on Stanford. VTRN Sports, powered by ESPN Radio. The games play here. 93.3 FM, 1320 AM. The VTRN Sports app and Asher Smart Speaker. Open VTRN Sports.
Hi, this is Zach Mackey, the voice of Virginia Tech men's basketball. You're listening to The Fast Lane with Ed Lane and Trey Lyle. Join the chat at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
I am no doubt going to sound like an elitist. I don't mean to, but it could. There are a sector of fans out there where there's not an ability to see big picture at all. And I bring that up because Liberty loses to Towson today in front of John Manson from AseaRed.com, who is down enjoying the gorgeous weather in Kissimmee, Florida, unlike the rain that's about to hit the LBG. So congratulations to you, John. By the way, a happy Thanksgiving to you as well. We're thankful for your friendship and the ability to connect with you regularly here in the Fast Lane. After the game, though, Richie McKay mentioned that it's good for them in the sense that it gives them a test. It gave them an idea of how to improve in late game scenarios like the block shot on Brent Decker Jr. on the final offensive play of the game for the Liberty Flames. And because of all of that, are you on board with Richie McKay that it stinks to lose, but it's highly unlikely you're going to go undefeated in non-conference or even conference play for that matter? And so having these type of blips on the radar gives you an assessment of where you can correct and what it's like to be on both ends of a tough battle.
Hey, Ed, thanks for having me on as always, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on. And you heard Coach McKay talk about that in his post-game press conference earlier today, where, he said, yeah, he's disappointed. It was a tough loss, tough outcome. Anytime you lose by one possession, you feel like, you can point back to half a dozen or more plays that could have gone the other way, and it's a different outcome. But it wasn't meant to be for the Flames today. But I think, this game and even the game Monday against Vermont, which ended in a Liberty 6-point win, these are games that you'll grow more from than, some of those early season wins that we had, even the wins over FAU and Charleston, where those games were never really in doubt. And it was just hot shooting for Liberty on those nights. And unfortunately for Liberty in this game Tuesday against Towson, they shot 23% from three. And I don't think Liberty, the way Coach McKay constructs his roster, I don't think they're going to win very many games. I don't think any team's going to win very many games when you shoot 23% from three. But you couple that against doing it against a really good Towson team that went 16-2 in the CAA last year and won that conference in the regular season before losing the conference tournament. And also Towson, they're just a big, physical, long, athletic team. That's a really good test for Liberty as they get later into the season and eventually into conference play. And they took advantage of Liberty's missed shots, and they also, dominated on the offensive glass and outscored Liberty 17-6 and out in second chance points. So, those couple things are, the key takeaways. And like I said, you don't win many games if you're going to have those two factors.
Zach Cleveland played over 39 minutes in the game. Brett Decker Jr. played over 35, and everybody played at least 33 as far as the Liberty Flames starters. Meanwhile, Towson had at least 9 guys that made it to 9.5 minutes played. How much were you, I wouldn't say impressed by, but how much did it resonate with you how Richie McKay, after the loss to Towson today, mentioned that he would not do it again to go with that short of a bench and that short of a rotation as he did today against Towson if he had to do it again?
Yeah, I mean, it's kudos to Coach McKay for owning up to that, and it's unfortunate that he felt like he needed to go that way, and I think part of that's due to some of the injuries. Obviously Josh Smith just coming back. He played in 8 minutes. That's probably all McKay and this Liberty team wants him to play at this point in time. I mean, again, he's went almost 20 months without playing basketball until at least playing a game until just here in the last couple of weeks, and then. Obviously, Isaiah Enan still hasn't gotten back. I mean, he is doing more and more work on the court pregame. We've seen that this week, these last 2 games. And I think his return is imminent. But they're just playing it slow, really, with both of those 2 guys from everything I've heard. So, those are guys that, probably in conference play, if they stay healthy, they're each playing, 15-plus minutes a night, which will obviously help with on the interior. Both of those 6'9" guys that are veterans. I mean, 5th and 6th year guys respectively. So, but yeah, I feel like, if you're Coach McKay, especially in November, when, ultimately this season is going to come down to, 3 nights in March, we got to win in Huntsville. You've got to find a way for guys to get minutes, whether that's an RJ Jones, a Xander Yates even, or Xander Carter, the freshman who's shown some flashes. If they can just, give you a little bit more than what you got. And I think Coach McKay just got to get to the point where he trusts those guys to give them what they need. And he talked about how the 5 starters are the 5 that he trusts right now on the defensive end of the floor. And that's where the Flames need to make the most improvement. So we'll continue to see growth and change. We might not see it on Wednesday when Liberty takes on either Bradley or UC San Diego, because that'll be another highly contested game. But after that, you got, Coppin State coming into Liberty Arena here in another, week and a half. that's probably a game where you can help further develop that bench. But yeah, it's definitely a point that Liberty needs to get to where they feel comfortable to play, more than really their five starters, 33 plus minutes. That's not sustainable for an entire season.
John Manson from AseaRed.com is with us today here in the Fast Lane. John, we pivot from that to the Liberty Flames football team. Another disappointing loss. This time they had a 3-touchdown lead in the second half and were not able to hold on to it. Ethan Vasco had 4 interceptions in the second half, and really just a disappointing performance. Overall, the performance itself, was it as disappointing as it could have been, or does that get tempered by the knowledge that this was probably not a team that was really even bowl caliber as we saw over the back half of the season in particular?
Yeah, Ed, I have a hard time trying to be tempered at any point of the Liberty football team for any game and any outcome that could have come, even this one game. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. And I don't think Liberty necessarily would have won both that game, obviously, and then the Kennesaw State game this week at home, which they had to do as they backed themselves in the corner after the FIU loss. But I mean, really these last 3 games, these last 3 losses, just kind of really leave a bad taste in your mouth if you're a Liberty football fan and follower. All 3 games are games Liberty really should have won, and obviously had opportunities to win. You think talking about the Missouri State game, the FIU game, and now Louisiana Tech, both the last 2 lost in overtime, and we all remember the Missouri State loss, which happened in the final minute of that game. So, but yeah, I mean, you're up 28-7 with less than 6 or 7 minutes left in the third quarter. You got a running back in Evan Dickens who's run for over 100 yards. 4 straight games at that point, and he obviously ended up with over 200. Feels like that should be as close to definite win as you're going to get. And obviously, you mentioned Vasco and his 4 interceptions. I mean, he threw 7 passes in that time frame when Louisiana Tech made their comeback, and they all were incomplete except for the 4 that were completed to the other team in by way of interception. So you can't overcome that certainly on a road game, but I feel like maybe there should have been some different things where different play calls, ride your running back a little bit more, and Evan Dickens, and get some you had opportunities to keep your offense on the field longer and extend some drives and take some more time off the clock. And for whatever reason, the Flames decided to pass the ball, and they did that repeatedly, even after a couple of errant passes by Vasco. And he's a guy that's shown all season that he's turnover prone. He can make some good plays, make some good reads, make some good passes on occasion, but he's also turnover prone. So I feel like Liberty really shot themselves in the foot by taking the ball out of number 23's hands.
Accuracy challenges have been a challenge for Liberty's passing game this year. Then you mentioned the play calling as well. Jamie Chadwell afterwards was mentioning about the potential that, coaching staff changes, player changes. There's a lot that's going to be coming. Does that reassure you if you're a Liberty Flames fan? What is your status, John, in terms of correlating how Jamie Chadwell addressed the likelihood of changes with the emotions you feel, particularly disappointing and frustration, being the 2 prominent emotions that were catalyzed and crystallized from the loss at Louisiana Tech on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think with Coach Chadwell, it's just we have to wait and see what happens after this game on Saturday, right? I mean, as far as, is he still going to be the coach for Liberty in 2026? I firmly believe that he will be, but I can't say that with 100% certainty. We'll just have to wait and see how this week goes. I mean, 3 weeks ago, I didn't think there was any chance that he wouldn't be on the sidelines to lead Liberty out for the 2026 season. But, things have certainly taken a turn these last 3 weeks. So I do expect him to be back next year. But the bigger question is, what will this staff look like? What other changes will be made? I mean, he's had the same staff, the entire on-field coaching staff has been the exact same for each of the 3 seasons he's been at Liberty. That's unusual. So I would expect there to be some changes, whether it's, Coach Chadwell initiates those or some of the staff decides to move on their own. But it will definitely be an interesting off season, which will begin just minutes after the end of the game against Kennesaw State on Saturday. And to be honest, for Liberty, it may be better that the Flames aren't bowl eligible going into this last week, because it gives Ian McCall and Coach Chadwell time to kind of assess the situation and know that as soon as the game's over Saturday, you can go ahead and really even now begin making those decisions, long-term decisions for what needs to happen in the off season. Because as you know, Ed, it's a quick turnaround and becomes a sprint once you get into the off season, and not having to worry about a bowl game, prepare for a bowl game, and wait and see where you're going to play in a bowl game. You don't have to worry about any of that. You can go ahead and start their off season at 6:45 p.m. on Saturday afternoon.
So you mentioned the potential, not that it's likely Jamie Chadwell will be gone because you still believe he'll be back, but the conviction is not as strong as it was previously, if I'm properly phrasing things regarding John Manson from AseaofRed.com, who's with us here in the Fast Lane on W227BG Timberlake, WVGM Am Lynchburg, WMNA Gretna Danville Southside, and the VTRN Sports app. Would that be because of Chadwell taking another job somewhere else, Chadwell just being burned out with where things are in college football, like many coaches have been, and it's kind of become apparent to them over the last handful of years? Would they go so far as to say enough is enough? What is your read on how a change could unfold, or if it's just more likely that it may not be Chadwell, but maybe, it kind of gets nudged and staff and personnel changes?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's really hard to try to predict those things, because we'd have to be inside of Coach Chadwell's head. We have to be inside of Ian McCall's head, and obviously we're not, right? So we just have to wait and see what they do and try to react to it after it happens. But my guess on everything I've heard up to these past few weeks is Coach Chadwell would want to stay here and try to figure out and get this thing turned around back in the right direction for Liberty football. But I'm not 100% sure that he'll get that opportunity. And you know how it is; it's crazy in this day and age of college football, where you're getting coaches that look at James Franklin, right? I mean, obviously your Virginia Tech listeners are familiar with that, right? With him being the head coach now in Blacksburg. But I mean, how long ago was it that he was coaching in a what was a CFP semifinal game, and now he's not even in Happy Valley. He's just down the road in Blacksburg. So things change quickly and swiftly, and we'll certainly be sure to track all that movement. But yeah, I mean, I expect Coach Chadwell to be back for Liberty in 2026, and we'll just have to wait and see what type of changes are made. And I think more importantly, in addition to probably staffing changes that are likely to happen, is Liberty's got to be able to hit on whoever the quarterback is that they get in the portal this coming off season, because that's really, I think, the play of Ethan Vasco has turned this season from being one that could have been at least respectable to being really a bad season where you're sitting at 4-7 going to the last game of the season. Because like I said, these last three games could have gone either way. The Jacksonville State game earlier in the season could have gone either way, and then also the Bowling Green back early in the season too. So a couple of those games go the other way, and this is a lot different season, a lot different discussion we're having right now.
Yes, it is. It would be a lot different as you could see where things go. John, we'll wrap it up on this. You can't officially add or subtract from your roster until January 2nd through, I think it's the 16th. I get that date confused on the back end, but whatever. It'll be madness when January 2nd arrives officially. Do you view this, though, as the type of thing where even though January 2nd is the official date, we might start getting word a lot sooner as far as Liberty players who announce their intention to enter the transfer portal because there are no more games and there's really not much that's binding them?
Oh yeah, definitely. You'll start to see and hear of those announcements coming as soon as Saturday night. I mean, that's probably a little on the early side, but Sunday, Monday, getting into early part of next week, I'm sure we'll see plenty of those announcements. And some of it's always two-sided on these things, right? Is Liberty kind of pushes some guys to look to go into the portal, and then other guys are looking just for other opportunities, better opportunities for themselves. But there's certainly a handful of players on each side of the ball that probably more than a handful, but some guys, I'm thinking of like an Evan Dickens is a guy that you want to make sure that you're able to keep him in a Liberty uniform moving into 2026. So that's somebody that you found that I mean, frankly, what he's done these last 3 or 4 weeks is as good as we've seen from any Liberty running back in a long time, maybe since Rashad Jennings. He's just been on that type of run, and he's a young guy with multiple years of eligibility remaining. So it's obviously somebody Liberty wants to try to keep, but he's also going to be somebody that some of those P4 teams with higher revenue sharing dollars, higher NIL dollars are going to be kind of calling after him. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm expecting by Saturday night, Sunday, and into Monday, we'll start hearing some news of transfer portal entries for this Liberty football team.
It's just the era in which we live. Everyone's kind of aware of it. We are in the era where the insight is still fantastic at aseaofred.com. John, enjoy Florida for as long as you're down there. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And again, we're thankful to have you regularly joining us in the fast lane and being able to partner with aseaofred.com.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you and your support, Ed, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
John Manson with us here in the fast lane. That does it for us today. TJ can exhale because we're finally done with the fast lane today. On to regular ESPN radio programming already in progress right here on the VTRN Sports app.
That play within the confines of the system, but also defensively. I get it, y'all. From a yardage standpoint, this is not the defense that's going to be in your top